Jesus of Nazareth, sentenced to death. After his Passover meal, Jesus left the city and went, as he usually did, to the Mount of Olives, and the disciples went with him. When they arrived at the place, he said to them, "Pray that you will not fall into temptation." He went off from them about the distance of a stone's throw, and knelt down and prayed, "Father, if you will take this cup of suffering away from me, not my will, however, but your will be done." Rising from his prayer, he went back to his disciples and found them asleep. Worn out by their grief, he said to them, "Why are you sleeping? Get up and pray that you will not fall into temptation." Jesus was still speaking when a crowd arrived, led by Judas, one of the 12 disciples. He came up to Jesus to kiss him, but Jesus said, "Judas, is it with a kiss that you betray the Son of Man?" Then they came up, arrested Jesus, and held him tight. One of those who were with Jesus drew his sword and struck at the high priest's slave, cutting off his ear. But Jesus said to him, "Put your sword back in its place. All who take the sword will die by the sword." Then Jesus spoke to his captors. "Did you have to come with swords and clubs to capture me, as though I were an outlaw? Every day I sat down and taught in the temple, and you did not arrest me. But all this has happened in order to make come true what the prophets wrote in the scriptures." Then all the disciples left him and ran away. After his arrest, Jesus was taken to the house of Caiaphas, the high priest, where the teachers of the law and the elders had gathered together. The whole council tried to find some false evidence against Jesus to put him to death, but they could not find any, even though many people had come forward and told lies about him. Finally, a man stepped forward and said, "This man said, 'I'm able to tear down God's temple and in 3 days later build it back up.'" The high priest stood up and said to Jesus, "In the name of the living God, I now put you under oath. Tell us if you are the Messiah, the Son of God." Jesus answered him, "So you say, but I tell all of you, from this time on you will see the Son of Man sitting at the right side of the Almighty and coming on the clouds of heaven." At this, Caiaphas tore his clothes and said, "Blasphemy! We don't need any more witnesses. You have just heard his blasphemy. What do you think?" They answered, "He is guilty and must die." When Jesus was arrested and taken away, Peter had followed him at a distance. A fire had been lit in the center of the courtyard where Peter was hiding. When one of the high priest's servant girls saw him, she looked straight at him and said, "You too were with Jesus of Galilee." But Peter denied it in front of them all. "I don't know what you are talking about." After a little while, a man noticed Peter and said, "You were with Jesus of Nazareth." Again Peter denied it and answered, "I swear that I don't know that man." A little while later, the man standing there pointed to Peter, saying, "Of course you are one of them. After all, the way you speak gives you away." Then Peter, harassed by those men, said, "I swear that I am telling you the truth. May God punish me if I am not. I do not know that man." Just then a rooster crowed. And Peter remembered what Jesus had told him. "Before the rooster crows, you will say 3 times that you don't know me." He went out and wept bitterly. When Judas the traitor learned that Jesus had been condemned, he repented and took back the 30 silver coins to the chief priests and the elders. "I have sinned by betraying an innocent man to death," he said. But they answered, "What do we care about that? That is your business." Then Judas threw the coins down in the temple and left, when he went off and hanged himself. Early in the morning, all the chief priests and the elders made their plans against Jesus to put him to death. They put him in chains, led him off, and handed him over to Pilate, the Roman governor. "What do you accuse this man of?" asked Pilate. They answered, "We would not have not brought him to you if he had not committed a crime." Pilate said to them, "Then you yourselves take him and try him according to your own law." They replied, "We are not allowed to put anyone to death. We caught this man misleading our people, telling them not to pay taxes to the emperor and claiming that he himself is the Messiah, a king." Pilate asked Jesus, "Are you the king of the Jews?" "Does this question come from you, or have others told you about me? Do you think I am a Jew? It was your own people and the chief priests who handed you over to me." Then turning to Jesus, Pilate asked, "What have you done?" Jesus replied, "My kingdom does not belong to this world. If my kingdom belonged to this world, my followers would fight to keep me from being handed over to the Jewish authorities. Are you a king then? You say that I am a king. I was born and came into the world for this one purpose, to speak about the truth. Whoever belongs to the truth listens to me." "And what is the truth?" Pilate then said to the accusers, "I cannot find any reason to condemn this man." Here ends this part.